A look at how Zscaler Private Access uses SSL certificates. So if we come to administration and certificates, you can see here that I have a Let's Encrypt certificate for my wildcard star.welshgeek.net domain. And because it's issued by Let's Encrypt, it'll be inherently trusted by all public browsers. If we come across to our browser-based access, I have a number of applications here, apache.welshgeek.net, and it uses the Let's Encrypt certificate, and there's a CNAME here for the apache.welshgeek.net. So this is advertised publicly to enable people to connect to apache.welshgeek.net over the internet using TLS, and we'll authenticate the users to bring them into the platform. We also have privileged remote access. So here I have a number of applications, my CentOS application, which is an SSH application, and my certificate server, which is an RDP application on 3389. I map these to privileged portals, and my privileged portal is called privaccess.welshgeek.net. Again, it has a CNAME which goes into public DNS, and it uses the Let's Encrypt certificate. So let's understand how this works. If I come across to my Safari browser and I go to http apache.welshgeek.net, so let's understand how this works. If I come across to my Apache browser and I go to http apache.welshgeek.net, I'll receive the sites insecurely using HTTP because my Zscaler client connector is running and providing that level of access. So it is not available using HTTPS on my network or through Zscaler Private Access using the client connector. If I come out and I exit Zscaler client connector, so I am now a third-party user or a user off the network, not using Zscaler client connector, and I refresh this page, you'll see I'll automatically redirected to my IDP, which is Microsoft Azure. I'm now prompted to sign in using multi-factor authentication, which I'll approve on my smartwatch. And now I'm redirected back to the application over the internet, and if I click on the padlock and show certificate, you'll see that it's using the wildcard certificate from Let's Encrypt all the way back to that root and is inherently trusted. I can also use my privaccess.welshgeek.net, and I can see my privileged access consoles delivered over TLS, and I can access my applications here. So two different ways to advertise applications over the internet using TLS certificates from Zscaler Private Access. If we come back to the configuration and we come to certificates, we can always create a new CSR. In this case, I'll call it my Welsh Geek certificate. Subject star.welshgeek.net, and a subject alternate name is star.welshgeek.net. And I will click create. You can see it's yellow because it is not a complete certificate, so I download the CSR file. Again, the private key never leaves the Zscaler cloud. I can see the certificate sign-in request here. So I can copy this to my clipboard. I come to my certificate server. I want to request a certificate. do an advanced certificate request and paste the certificate sign-in request in there. And at this point, select a web server certificate and click submit. Base64 encoded certificate. We can download the certificate. We will move this certificate from certnew.cer to welshgeek wildcard.pem, and we can view the certificate and check its validity. So we've got the subject alternate name, and we can see the information about the certificate here. We didn't provide any specific information for the full canonical name of the certificate. So we can come back to Zscaler Private Access. We can upload the certificate. We'll select the file. Click Upload. And you can see now it's ready for use. So if we now come across to Administration, Browser Access, and we can edit this application, and we'll say, rather than use the Let's Encrypt application, we'll use the wildcard certificate. So it's important to understand that the certificate is used for public. It'll always be HTTPS to the internet, but we're saying that it's HTTP on port 80 in the back end. So the actual service is port 80 on the real web server in the data center. So we click Save. Click OK to the message that came up. And we can see here now it's using the WelshGeek certificate instead of the Let's Encrypt certificate. So again, let's close down our browser. And let's now go to https apache.welshgeek.net. We already have an authenticated session, but if we look at the certificate now, we can see that it's the wildcard certificate issued by my certificate authority. In this case, I'm using the internal certificate authority, but you might get that signed by VeriSign or any other public CA.